Well, we continue our coverage here on CNBC-TV18. You've heard from industry, you've heard from the economists, you've heard from the market participants, and it is now time to hear from the budget makers themselves. The secretaries of the Finance Ministry join us now, the Economic Affairs Secretary, Mr. Ajay, Seth, and Mr. Nagaraju, the DFS Secretary, here with us on the CNBC-TV18 Budget Headquarters. Gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Let me start by asking you about the big CASA consumption and the implications and the impact it's likely to have as far as growth is concerned. I'll put this in the context of what the former Chief Economic Advisor, KV Subramaniam, is saying about the multiplier impact of the tax cuts that you've been able to do. But I want to understand from you, what do you believe this could mean as far as the percentage of consumption growth as a percentage of GDP, and what this eventually means for growth as well?
See, what the estimated numbers are and what Finance Minister has announced, it means about 1 lakh crore on the income tax side. That will be more money in the hands of the people. How do they use it? Whether for consumption or for their savings or investment, buying house or buying durables, it is their call. Government took a position that yes, it needs to be enhanced and more money in the hands of the middle class. Depending upon where it goes, then multiplier effect will flow from.
But assuming, and I'm going by again what Mr. Subramaniam suggests, that the data says that 80% goes towards using it on spending and, you know, using it as discretionary spending, what will the multiplier impact be? I mean, you must have worked out some scenarios and some assessments on the implications.
So that's a matter of how it will pan out to be, and I would not like to jump to what the multiplier impact would be, because that is economy needs at this point of time get more money in the hands of the people. Those who are at the lower end of the income, which is about 1 lakh rupees per month, that's the income is there. Now 1 lakh crore, how they will use it, as I mentioned it, and it is left to them.
Okay, it's left to them. What does this mean now as far as the growth assumptions go, sir? Because the economic survey has pegged growth between 6.3 to 6.8%. 10.5 is the nominal GDP growth number that you're working with. Assuming inflation, what should we realistically expect growth? What are you working with? Would it be fair to assume that the economic survey number is the number that you're going with as well?
See, economic survey has assumed 6.3 to 6.8 range. Whether it will be at the nearer to the upper limit or the lower limit depends on that how the global situation pans out to be over next year. And there are several measures announced in this budget which will suggest that we can be closer to the higher limit.
To the higher end.
To the higher limit. That was several measures are there. But that is in the future. But for the purpose of doing the budget mass, what is relevant is a nominal growth in the economy. That number is 10.2 or 10.3%. with a deflator of about 3.5 to 4%. That is what broadly the numbers are.
Okay. You know, on the expenditure side, Mr. Seth, and that's what I want to understand from you. Has that given you the cushion to factor in this 1 lakh crore rupee revenue foregone on account of the tax relief that you've provided? Because there is a difference between the B, the RE, and then of course the B now goes up to about 50 point something lakh crore rupees. But the difference between the B to RE, has that provided you the cushion to move as much as you have on personal income tax?
See, budget making is always trying to balance different competing objectives are there. Number one, fiscal consolidation, which is an overall path, and announced that debt to GDP ratio must be coming down. There's a path. The second one, the revenues, and to some extent the revenues are moderated because of the changes in the income tax slabs and the rebate which have come. At the same time, one could find enough space to provide for priority expenditure. At the same time, announce for or provide monies for the new expenditure. For example, Research, Development and Innovation Fund. Similar manner for Urban Challenge Fund and so on. So those and several missions which have been announced, one could provide for it. But yes, somewhere it has to lead to a more modest growth in what otherwise would have been possible. If you notice that on the capital expenditure side, as compared with where we are supposed to be in the revenue expenditure or the revised estimate, from about 10.1 lakh, next year is about 10% increase. That is a more moderate increase. However, on the capital expenditure side, effective capital expenditure, including what Government of India provides to the states for their capital expenditure, there is a good increase of about 20%. So it's a balancing different competing objectives. And I'm glad that the team guided by Finance Minister could find that right balance.
So, do you believe that what we are seeing today as far as consumption is concerned, the slowdown, is a structural issue? Because when I asked the Chief Economic Advisor this question, he said he doesn't believe it's a structural issue, but you believe that this was the need of the hour, the intervention on consumption was the need of the hour, and which is what the budget has responded to.
See, the consumption has been growing, say, at about 7%. There have been a minor variation from quarter to quarter. But at the same time, as again, you would have heard Finance Minister, you would have heard Honorable Prime Minister responding to what the expectations were. As the government responds to those one, a middle class expecting that there should be more monies for them be in their pockets. That's why the government has responded to that and provided them a relief, a substantial change in the, it's not just a relief, it is a substantial change in the tax slabs itself. On top of it, the rebate which has been provided. So it is an all across effective reduction in the rates because of the slab changes and plus the rebate which has been provided.
Yes, both a reduction in rates as well as the slab changes that you talk about. But Mr. Nagaraju, let me come to you now, sir, and understand from you what you anticipate as far as credit offtake on the bank side is concerned in light of the many measures that have been taken. And also, do you believe the budget will enable more deposit mobilization? For instance, with what you've been able to do on the senior citizen side, do you believe it will aid deposit mobilization?
Yeah, you're right. The current growth, is about 8.2, something like that. We had agriculture growth rate of little more than 15%, and MSME growth rate again more than little 17%. The growth rates are robust even this year. Now with the senior citizens incentive, I think we expect that more deposits will flow into the banking system.
Okay.
And that we may actually improves our CASA, and thereby the banks will be able to lend more to the needy segments of the society, which may lead to higher growth rates. That's what our feeling.
Okay, so you anticipate that there will be higher growth as well as deposit mobilization on the back of the measures taken. I come back to a comment that came in from the economic survey also, and Mr. Nageshwaran told me that there were, of course, measures taken by the RBI that were warranted to take care of the situation, the overheating, so to speak, especially on the unsecured side, but that may have also put the brakes on growth. Do you believe that that is now a thing of the past, it is behind us?
Yeah, see, the point is, at that point of time, the RBI has cautioned, but it seems the NBFCs, if you look at it, both GNPA, gross NPAs as well as net NPAs, not very high, not very large when compared to the banks. The NBFCs NPAs are about 1.2, 1.3. That's not the way out of the mark. So I think the RBI caution to NBFCs at that point of time may be relevant, but now I think the growth, the lending will move. The also thing is that the lending to unsecured is little steady, not increasing.
Okay. So less, you're not worried on that front any longer, or?
No, see, banks will take their own decisions, but as usual, they need to be very careful to give to unsecured. But it also shows that the unsecured is also a little hesitant to take loans.
Okay, okay. We have limited time and a lot of questions, so let me come to you again, Economic Affairs Secretary, on some of the other measures that the budget has announced. And let's talk about the fiscal consolidation glide path, and I think that's got positive feedback from everybody that the government has stuck to its consolidation roadmap. But the move towards debt, does that provide you more flexibility as well when we talk about consolidation?
It does provide a flexibility to respond to the needs of the economy in a much more effective manner. If the economy is doing well, consolidation can be a much stronger pace. If the economy is not doing well, that means more support to the economy is needed to the fiscal expenditure. Moderation, there can be moderation in fiscal consolidation those years. And if you see what has been, details have come out, different scenarios have been suggested in the FRBM statement. 3 scenarios of fiscal consolidation have been assumed: mild, moderate, and high case. And of course, again, a combination comes in with growth rate being, nominal growth rate being 10, 10.5, and 11. So there are basically 9 combinations are possible. So that does provide a flexibility, that does provide a transparency, but direction is very clear that we have to build buffers, we have to bring down the debt to GDP ratio, and the goal is 50 plus minus 1% by the end of the 16th Finance Commission period, which will be the financial year 30-31.
3031. Let me address some of the other issues. Asset monetization, that was part of the finance minister's speech. 10 lakh crore rupees is the target that the finance minister has put down as far as asset monetization is concerned. If I remember correctly, it was 6 lakh crore rupees previously. How much was actually achieved on that front? What is the hope as far as the 10 lakh number is concerned?
First round was 5 lakh crore, and we expect that by the end of the financial year, it will be closer to about 90% achievement, which I find is a
90% of the 5 lakh crores.
5 lakh. And having done so, we feel that now the next round should be possible to do it, just double the number, 10 lakhs. And I do expect that in the coming weeks, the sector-wise details will be out.
So has the identification taken place, or will that process start now?
Niti Aayog has done the work. They have sat down with the different ministries. They have sat down with the different organizations which own those assets. The discussions have happened, and my sense is that they are ready with the plan. And of course, we would also like to get states also get into those areas, because several of their assets, especially on the transmission side, are good assets which can be, they can monetize and then plow back their money for fresh investment into the economy.
Okay, so that process is being taken forward by Niti Aayog. Mr. Nagaraju, let's understand the insurance-related measures that the government announced, 100% FDI, that cap moving from 76%. But there are caveats to that as well, including whether repatriation can take place or not. So can you articulate for us what we should expect now as part of the bill that will be tabled?
So while the bill talks about some measures in the both Insurance Act, LIC Act, IRDA, to bring everything into harmony. The main thing was, of course, 100% FDI. The FM's announcement also refers to the rules we framed on the on repatriation and the key management personnel who can be in the insurance companies, all those things. So we comprehensively we are going to address both FDI as well as the rules made which was difficult to repatriation of dividends and key management personnel, all those we are going to review and simplify.
Review and simplify. I also want to understand from you, sir, you know, this, we've heard from the government saying that they will infuse more capital into public sector undertakings like RINL. The plan perhaps is to do more for others as well, including MTNL. Is there a concern at the DFS end on the haircuts that banks may have to take in if the government were not to infuse additional capital? See,
on the RINL, there is no cut we have taken, the banks have taken.
Yes.
100%, whatever is there. Same, all the prudential norms will be applicable to for MTN also. As and when a decision is required, the government, of course, will take a decision. And I don't think, see, whatever is the RBI norms on taking the haircut, that will be applied for MTNL case also. So the banks are not worried at all that, in any case, the government actually doesn't tell the banks what to do. Okay, they are autonomous organizations. So they take decisions based on their own prudential norms.
On the FDI front, and I ask you this in the context of the challenging global environment that we're dealing with, and this was something that the budget had talked about last time around as well, Mr. Seth, you know, this overhaul as far as the FDI regime is concerned, where are we at and what can we expect considering what we're seeing happen in the rest of the world today?
See, this was announced last year, and thereafter 2 BITs have been signed with UAE and with Uzbekistan. What Finance Minister has announced today is to revisit the model BIT, which was done in the year 2014, make it more investor friendly. We have moved significantly from the position what was 2014, is a fresh look at the entire thing, considering what the global environment is, make it more investor friendly. And the idea is, yes, of course, to attract more FDI, that first develop India, that is the motto. When they invest here, obviously that entire set of economic activities happen in India.
What will be the thrust of the changes that are being proposed or being considered at this point in time?
I'm not getting into the specifics. What the investors are looking for, that any change in the policy, that they should be protected against that. And we find that our experience of 10 years, wherein there's a consistency of the policy, it is a unidirection, meaning that it doesn't go to and fro, it moves, keeps on moving. towards more liberal, more market-based economy, at the same time taking care of the proper balance between the state interest as well as the investor one. So we have the good experience of 10 years to revisit the 2013 or 2014 model.
I know your timer is going off, Mr. Seth, so he's kept his timer on, so his timer is going off, but in exactly 10 seconds, sir, how confident do you feel at the end of this budget to be able to get to that upper end of 6.8% that the survey highlighted?
100%.
100%?
Yes.
So 6.8 is doable and deliverable.
Is doable, and see that there are several factors which are in our control, or if they are not in our control, we can strive to create conditions within our own economy to bring it closer to that. There are few elements which are beyond our economy, on which we are only recipient of word external to India.
Yes.
So that uncertainty always remain, but yes, on the day of the budget, I feel fully confident that upper end is doable as a practical number. Is
doable as a practical number. I have many more questions, gentlemen, but we're out of time. But Mr. Seth and Mr. Nagaraju, we'll see you on the CNBC-TV18 budget verdict. Many, many thanks for joining us here today. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Economic Affairs Secretary and the DFS Secretary, don't go anywhere. The budget makers from North Block with us in a moment. Stay right there.
Thank you.